All right, let's dive into a really powerful section of the Quran today. We're going to be exploring verses 126 through 150 of Surah Nisa. And this passage, it's like a complete guide for a believer's life, hitting on these huge themes of justice, wisdom in marriage, and what it really means to have sincere faith.
So everything kicks off with this one powerful verse. And you have to understand, this isn't just a factoid. It's the bedrock for every single command that's about to come. As Maulana Madudi points out, it's just the most logical way to see the world. If Allah owns everything, then the most sensible thing for us to do is to follow His guidance. And that last part, encompassing all things, it's a reminder that His knowledge and His power are everywhere. There's just no escaping His authority.
So once that idea of Allah's total ownership is locked in, what's the first big thing we're told to do? Well, it's all about justice. And we're not just talking about what happens in a courtroom. This is about a core principle that has to flow through every part of our lives.
Now get this. The first place Allah applies this massive principle of justice is to the most vulnerable people in society. He specifically calls out the rights of orphan girls. You know, back in the day, it was all too common for guardians to take advantage of them, either marrying them just to get their inheritance without giving them a proper dowry, or even worse, stopping them from marrying anyone at all. The fact that Allah brings this up again and again tells you just how big of a deal protecting the powerless is to Him.
Okay, so this constant focus on justice, especially for those who can't defend themselves, it really makes you wonder, right? What are the limits? How far are we as believers supposed to take this? Well, the Quran gives an answer that is, wow, it's as demanding as it is profound.
And here's that answer. We're told to be qawamin bil qist, which is so much more than just being just. It means you're supposed to be the standard bearers of justice. Your whole life becomes a testimony to fairness. And this is the really tough part, that testimony is for Allah alone. It has to be pure, untouched by your personal feelings, even if it means you have to stand up and testify against yourself or your own parents.
Let's just pause and think about how radical this is. Your loyalty to your family comes second to your loyalty to divine justice. The verse goes on to say, it doesn't matter if the person is rich or poor, because Allah is the ultimate caretaker of both. That means you don't bend the rules to favor the rich, hoping to get something out of it. And you don't bend them for the poor, thinking you're helping them out of misplaced pity. The takeaway is huge. Justice is this fixed, unshakable standard. It's not something you get to negotiate.
Okay, so from these big public ideas of justice, the Quran zooms right into the most personal space there is, the home. The guidance shifts now to how we handle the very real challenges that can come up in a marriage.
So when things get tough in a marriage, the Quran gives us this amazing concept called sulh. It's basically an amicable settlement, a reconciliation. And the verse is crystal clear. Wa sulhu khair, and reconciliation is best. It's the preferred path over just splitting up. It encourages this spirit of compromise, of maybe giving up some of your own rights for the greater good of keeping the family together.
But here's where the Quran gets so real about human nature. The very next verse says, you will never be able to be equal between wives, even if you should strive. And according to Madudi's analysis, this is talking about the heart. You can't command love. You can't mechanically divide affection and feelings. The law doesn't demand the impossible from us. But, and this is a huge but, just because you can't control your feelings perfectly, that doesn't give you a free pass to be unfair. The verse immediately warns, so do not incline completely toward one and leave another hanging. You can't just leave a wife in this awful limbo, not being treated like a wife, but not free to move on either. The real demand is for fairness, in treatment, in rights, in companionship. And it all ties back to having that fear of Allah, which is what opens the door to His forgiveness if we fall short.
And what if, after everything, reconciliation just isn't possible? Even then, the Quran doesn't leave you with a sense of failure. It offers this incredible message of hope. If separation has to happen, Allah's bounty is so vast that He can make each person independent of the other. It's a beautiful reminder that while divorce is an ideal, it's not the end of the world, and Allah's grace is there for everyone.
Now, to actually live by all this stuff, to be just in public and in private, you need a sincere heart, right? And that brings us to a really important part of these verses, a kind of spiritual diagnostic. We're shifting to the topic of hypocrisy, a disease of the heart that stops a person from ever really embracing true justice. The Quran lays out the signs of the hypocrites, the munafiqeen, so we can spot them and make sure we don't become them.
Look at this side by side. It's so clear. The believer, they're looking for honor from Allah and Allah alone. The hypocrite, they're trying to get it by cozying up to disbelievers. A believer comes to prayer with a full heart. A hypocrite drags themselves there just so other people can see them. And the biggest difference? A believer is firm in their faith, while a hypocrite is just stuck in the middle, wavering, not really belonging anywhere.
So what does this look like in practice? Well, you're basically opportunists, playing both sides. If the Muslims win a battle, they rush over like, hey, we were with you all along. But if the other side gets an advantage, they're whispering, see, we had your back, we kept the Muslims off you. And another huge red flag, they have no problem just sitting around in places where Allah's verses are being mocked. It just shows how weak their connection to the faith really is.
And because this kind of betrayal is so corrosive, it rots a community from the inside out, the consequence is just incredibly severe. The Quran says without any ambiguity that the hypocrites will be in ad-dark al-asfal min an-nar, the absolute lowest, deepest, most painful part of the fire.
But even after a warning that intense, that scary, the very next thing the Quran does is swing the door wide open to mercy. It doesn't matter how far gone someone is, there's always a path back. That door to forgiveness is never, ever locked.
And it's not some vague idea. It's a clear, four-step path back. First, you have to repent. Second, you have to actually fix your actions, show you've changed. Third, hold on tight to Allah. Depend on Him and no one else. And fourth, and this is the key, make your faith purely and sincerely for Allah's sake. If you do that, the promise is that you will be counted among the true believers.
And this all leads up to what has to be one of the most beautiful, hope-filled questions in the entire Quran. It's like Allah is asking us, why would I even need to punish you if you're grateful and you truly believe? Punishment isn't the goal. Your success is the goal. And it perfectly shows us Allah's nature. He is shakir, which means He is appreciative. He sees and values every little good thing you do. And He is alim, all-knowing, so He knows what's truly in your heart.
So from the highest standards of public justice to the deepest sincerity of the heart, these verses really give us a complete roadmap. If you found this breakdown helpful, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more explainers like this one. Thanks for joining me.